Hello one, hello all, it's the gothiest ghost of them all, Casper in the flesh, and it's time for a review of Geordie Greep, the new sound. This is the new album from progressive, jazz, rock, experimental singer, multi-instrumentalist Geordie Greep, formerly a member of the now disbanded, unfortunately, avant-garde, prog jazz, experimental, just out of their mind band, Black Midi, who also brought some noise prog to the table as well, and released 3 great albums you should definitely check out. And the last one I thought was absolutely fantastic, and I gave a glowing review to.
You mean I reviewed it? It was me, not you. Why are you taking my credit? Why?
Anyway, their last album, Hellfire, which is easily their best, most exciting album, but that doesn't lessen or minimalize the quality of Cavalcade or their debut, Schlagenheim. But Hellfire I felt was more boundary pushing, more explosive, more beautiful, and such a neurotic thrill ride, and very consistent, very tight. And honestly, I was really hoping for a next one, but unfortunately, the band decided to call it quits. And there are appearances here from former members of the band, such as drummer Morgan Simpson. So with the singles that were introduced to me, it really does show Geordie's multi-musicianship on here, and also how batshit insane his songwriting is. So if we're adding his musicianship, his very expressive, theatrical vocals, I honestly feel if anyone was to do solo, it would be him. So here we are, new project, new sound, as you can see, which is a super tight track list of 11 tracks, a little over an hour. So while not that long of a track list, there are very long songs on this album. Some lengthy ones, most notably The Magician, which is the longest track on this LP. And although it's not as visceral as Hellfire, but not as harrowing as Hellfire, this album does seem to be a continuation and an artistic step further than their predecessor. This album does seem to be a continuation of some sort, and I feel it does go above and beyond with how pristine it is, how well written it is, how off the beaten path it is, with some additions to Latin rock, jazz fusion, avant-prog. And when it comes to jazz, when it comes to prog, obviously Geordie is no stranger to this, but the Latin moments here, the Latin inclusions, are nothing short of sheer beauty. And Greep's over-the-top vulgarity in his lyrics are just insane. Not to mention how unhinged his vocals could be, which are insanely theatrical and really adds more to the explosive experience. The song Blue, I feel, really sets things off as Geordie rattles off these spoken word to soaring vocals, alongside these speedy bass arpeggios, blaring guitar hits as well, and ascending horn hits, hurried drums, that creates these layers of sonic sensory overload that builds and builds and builds and builds. Not only that, but Greep's over-the-top spoken word affirmations are hilarious. From Here Comes Tera, that has these melodic builds and are less dizzying, but I do think are better for it, which has its museum of graphic imagery. And I feel this album really works as a movie, a over-the-top cinematic piece, as Greep speaks on his incurable disease as a time capsule, something to remember this person by, a souvenir, if you will. As these references connect to the track later on the track list through a war, the song is extravagant, sonically flavorful. Also, if you know me, I'm a sucker for grooves, which this track is loaded with, especially with the horn sections, making for some excellent inclusions of Latin elements. So not only are the grooves great, but these vocals, man, these vocals. I remember playing it in front of my partner, and she didn't quite appreciate it. She didn't quite get it, but it's all good. And though I think his vocals are incredible, I think they're incredible in the respects of someone who is performative, someone pushing out emotion, character, personality, because Greep delivers one of the most bizarre, harrowing vocals I've probably heard on this entire record, on this track, where it goes to an ascending bravado to just a very bizarre howl, and then a very melodic falsetto at the end. Like, this man is insane. He's insane. He's insane. And I might be too. I think Greep is a great example of, while he has vocal range, it is still very unorthodox, but I feel that adds to his character. Because while a singer may not hit every note, because I will take personality, passion, expression, and character over a fine-tuned, another face in the cloud vocalist any day of the week. As this track develops with each crescendo, each arpeggio, the instrumental gets more detailed. And almost psychedelic too, as Greep depicts these gruesome displays. But I feel he's depicting tumultuous moments of this character's life that he's just putting on display and he's showcasing for the world to see. It's one of those tracks where you're getting a sonic live landscape juxtaposing to the inner turmoil of the character. And the madness and unhinged hilarity does not fail on the track Holy Holy, where I feel he delivers one of the most insane lyrics yet that I've probably heard all year in terms of a single. Like, there are very crazy lyrics put here, but this one here just really takes the cake for creativity, for just over the top. Like, all the vocals here, like, share so much conviction, so much passion. We also get this super tight syncopation of drums and guitars as our protagonist pays for this date, which I believe is an escort, but makes these totally random, obscure, sexual, non-sexual requests that are completely over the top, but immensely hilarious and very specific. My favorite one being, I want you to ask the waiter if I am who I really say I am. I want you to blush, shoot a smug at the other girls. To make them jealous, I chose you. When I tell you your pussy is holy, I want you to slap me, then kiss me. Make sure everyone's watching, kiss me, then walk away. Like, it's just so bizarre. It's like... and then asking for the cost of it all as well, which is just hilarious. Not only that, but the space provided, to the sequencing of the pianos, the saxophones, to the backing vocals, to the choral backing vocals, just everything. Everything about this track is infectious, engaging, and severely memorable. And I love how each sonic element correlates to the lyrics. I feel when it comes to Greep's lyrics, his vocals, we've gotten some manic stuff from him in the past. There's no question of that. But when it comes to the humor, when it comes to the musicianship, like his talents as a musician, he's proving through and through why he should go solo first, why he is going solo first, and why he was the best option for it. Because through every track here, he proves it more and more. There's also the title track, The New Sound. That goes very prog, very jazz fusion. That is reminiscent to me of one of my favorite bands of all time, Mahavishnu Orchestra with John McLaughlin. Excellent hand drumming. Triumphant guitar wails, piano, organs, synchronizing with the warm bass arpeggios, along with what sounds like funky wahs. The whole thing is mostly instrumental if you're not counting the enchanting, gorgeous backing vocals. Normally with tracks like this, I would pass it off as an interlude. But due to how much of an absolute journey and experience this track is, it definitely differs from what Greep has done in the past. With Black Midi, of course, and I would say it's very fitting as well. The whole thing sounds like a transformation of some sort. Like an ascension of some kind, a rebirth of some kind. Especially with the crescendos, the elevation in sound, provided by these epic, gratifying moments, which is needed due to how disturbing the next track gets, believe me. The song Walk Up, you could argue, has Hellfire-isms, but I feel it does have its subtle differences, especially on the lyrical front. That provides probably the most jarring lyrics on the whole record. It's also important to note that this woman, Greep's character, is talking about... introduces this track saying, "Welcome to Hell," or insinuating a greeting to hell, as his character portrait is painted as a very paranoid, cautionary figure after having relations with a colleague. And I absolutely love the line, "In the boardroom, your fish fingers shake hands with top flight men." with intensifying development in the instrumentation, along with the instrumental crashes of drums and pianos. Definitely creates this instrumentation and pandemonium just firing on all cylinders. Not to mention the anxiety-driven nature of this track. So yeah, it's Hellfire-coded, but damn if it isn't expansive. There's even a hilarious country folk outro to rebuttal the random antagonist at the end of the track. I feel like this album is proving to be a mix of different vibes and different feelings. I feel in a continuous way, and I feel continues on an excellent way on the track that I referenced earlier, or mentioned earlier, Through a War, that really delivers a contrast, once again, of what sounds like a love song, but from a perspective of a despicable dictator of some kind, who has done these egregious acts of terror and tries to impress her with these egregious acts of torture, which is darkly hilarious, very tongue-in-cheek, that leads into some hilarious bittersweet lyrics that I will let you listen to for yourself just to see, but I find myself on the edge of my seat just wondering what the fuck is he gonna say next. Now, unfortunately, the last two tracks are the weakest in the batch. Bongo Season, I can appreciate the beauty of it, but the mix is a little messy. I don't think the vocal harmonies are as strong, and also it's not really that long of a song. Unfortunately, I feel the same way about Motorbike, where Greep is actually off vocal duty, which is odd because it's a solo LP, and now taken over by Seth Evans, and I don't think he's as strong enough as a vocalist to carry this on. In fact, he sounds like a weaker version of the lead singer, lead vocalist of Geese, and honestly, if that were to happen, we should really speak this into existence because that would be amazing. Thankfully, the last few tracks on here are fire, with As If Waltz, which actually does justify its runtime, while Greep shares the perspective of a total creep. That has its pristine moments, but not so pristine to a point where it's saccharine, and certainly has its density, its subtle shots of ferocity, when it comes to the guitar embellishments, the progression of the track. And the viewpoints here are very eyebrow-raising and very unnerving, along with the incel bars that we get here, which again is done in a satirical way. It really does take you on an emotional ride sonically though. And with the distorted guitar tones, it definitely does bring bite to the beauty, even if it is coming from the viewpoint of a very disturbing, odd character portrait. We are then hit with a very passionate, breathtaking ballad. We are then hit with the most powerful, passionate, breathtaking ballad on the entire LP, which is The Magician, which has these excellent thematic tie-ins, which does have thematic tie-ins to the last track. And the chord progressions, Greep's vocals are incredibly stunning here. Even though I don't relate to what he's saying, he is absolutely killing it in terms of emotion. In terms of performance, like, I feel every word with every key. It's immensely grand, it's colossal. And with the synchronization, I'm just baffled, like trying to find what is more compelling here, the vocal performance or the instrumentation or the lyrics? Because due to how all this is culminating together into like one piece, it's forming together into a very tangible ballad. From the twinkling production, beautifully played piano, and I believe to be the accordion, as the vocals soar as he shares the pain of this problematic character. So as I feel this is a ballad of an edgelord, and while the lyrics, again, unrelatable, his performance, his vocals, his emotions, his performance, the vocals, the emotion are absolutely mesmerizing. And not to mention how absurd and over the top his lyrics are. Also, I feel due to this being the second to last track on the album, it definitely does complement the narrative, especially with how chaotic and disruptive the ending is here. I feel it does complement the sweetness of the beginning of this track. And the closer, If You Are a Dream, hits us with yet another ballad that does sound very vintage, very showcase, very loungy, and isn't overproduced in the slightest. It's very horn-backed, it's immensely sober, it's pouring the heart out of this character And it's honestly the most unproblematic character on the whole record, that has these immensely somber touches of piano that's immensely harrowing but very dramatic. But honestly, the sweetest sentiment on the whole entire record, saying that if this is not reality, if this woman's a dream, if I'm dreaming all this, I don't want to wake up. I don't want to be woken up from this dream because I'm just loving this reality of this woman. This woman is amazing, incredible. And if she is a dream, I pray I never wake up again. I mean, is it a little cheesy? A little bit, but man, the passion here, the beautiful sentiment, it's just gorgeous to me. I'm sorry. And really a beautiful way to end the album. And I feel Greep shows he could definitely write an outstanding ballad without being problematic. I feel like Geordie's showing absolute multi-talent here. Absolutely a showman when it comes to instrumentation, his vocal performances, his acting, his absolutely unhinged writing, how he structures these tracks, the detail he puts into them. It just absolutely blew me away. This album blows me away. There are some weaker tracks here, but that does not derail my enjoyment of this overall album, my overall enjoyment of this album at all. And I feel Greep is really proving he was the best choice to go solo, and he is really holding his own in a very creative, exciting way, and I can't wait for the next one. I'm feeling a 4.5 out of 5 on this album. If you've given this a listen, what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And that's it. I am Caspa. I am your plug. Show me love. Hit me with a sub. And that's it. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, Geordie Greep. Till we meet again.